Namaskara, machas. So, how much should you practice and how much should you play? I've had a few interesting discussions with some coaches, some players about this, and I thought it's high time I share my own thoughts. So, here is one of those discussions. Most of my discussions were along these lines only, but this one just happened to be a public video on a public platform.
A few parents came and told me that their kids are doing almost the same thing every day. The same kind of layups, the same kind of passes, the same kind of dribbling, or anything for that matter.
Parents, our great Indian parents. See, if you're going to send your kid to a coach, you have to trust that coach completely. Otherwise, don't send your kid there at all. Don't send them and then start comparing with Sharma ji's bacha. Arey, where are we going with this? Yeah, this should be a different topic for a different video. Now back to the point.
So I told them about my days. Basics is all I did for the first couple of years. I don't remember playing a game at all.
What? She didn't play a game for 2 years, sir. That is crazy, macha. Arey, like, how do you even know whether you like basketball or not if you've never played a game? And on top of that, going for coaching? But I talked to few more players, few more coaches, and this happens to be quite common, at least in India. I don't know about other places. Children who join basketball coaching very young, or even if they are not young, like let's say they just lack skills, for quite a bit of time in the beginning, they don't get to play games with the rest of the people in that basketball coaching. And once the training session is done and everyone else starts playing, they go to one more hoop on the side and they continue practicing. If there are enough kids, some coaches will have them play games, but most wouldn't. They'll have them maybe play a mini game like Middle Monkey or something. It was unbelievable to me at first because my case was complete opposite. At first I didn't join any basketball coaching. No, no, no. I only played. Until 11th grade I played many different sports. Little. I didn't take any of them seriously as such. Any skills or fundamentals, basics, whatever you call it, I learnt either by watching other players and copying them or by watching YouTube videos. And now I've come full circle, Machas. I'm the one making YouTube videos so that others can watch and learn. So do subscribe if you want to learn basketball skills or just hear me talk about questions like this. Then came 11th grade when I somehow ended up on the basketball school team. Like, we didn't have a great school team at that time. They wanted me to be there and, pass the ball. Like, I didn't even know how to shoot a jump shot at that point, but I was on the school team. So that was when I first had a proper coach as such. So obviously if you're on the school team, you have to practice with the school team, right? You're not going to only be working on basics. So it's like I never had this phase where I was working only on the skill side of things and never playing. And as many players as you have getting into proper basketball coaching here, you also have so many players who are like me who never had proper coaching as such. I'll go as far as to say most players haven't had proper coaching. Most players just start off playing in their park or school or something. I'm not saying any one of these is better than the other. It's just like two polar opposites. And both of them are equally waste, if you ask me personally.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is that your basic is going to be a foundation to doing anything in your life. It is like the bricks to a building. So make sure that your bricks are so strong that the building will never fall. Think about it.
Arey macha, but once you build a foundation and bring the bricks, you should also build a house. Otherwise, you'll just have a pile of bricks. So I had to jump in. I feel the best would be a combination of both. Learn the basics properly and then get into the game so that you know how to apply it. Game isn't perfect like practice, so you need to know how to adjust. Otherwise, pile of bricks. That way, if you also see how buildings are built, do they get all the bricks at one time and keep it in the construction site? No, they get some bricks, they build little bit of the house, then they get more bricks, then they build the house some more. Like that they do, right? Same thing should be for your basketball also. Sure, you have to practice the moves first before getting into the game. I will never deny that. But once you practice little, you should be getting into the game and trying what you learn. Of course, you will fail. You will make mistakes. You have to learn from those mistakes and make adjustments in your next practice. You should be doing both. You should play and you should practice also, so that you're practicing in a way that will work for you in game. See, you've taken the example of Kobe Bryant practicing for 1 hour on his fundamentals or whatever. The thing is, he isn't just mindlessly doing the same thing, right? He's imagining an opponent every rep of that. He's probably imagining defenders who've given him most problems. He's getting into each and every detail. He's seeing how exactly this move will be taken and how it will be working in game for him. Kobe is very well known for his level of focus and attention to detail. But a big place where that comes from is observing and reflecting upon his own performance in games. That's true, but not when your basics aren't there. It takes years just to master the basics. I completely disagree with that. Let's say you're trying to work on a layup, you can learn it in 10 minutes to make an open layup. Okay, maybe up to a week, maybe even a month if you're like a younger player or you have some bad habits that you need to unlearn and relearn. Now, is this mastering a layup? Absolutely not. But it's a good place to go and start trying it in game so that you know what you need to work on next time you practice the layup. You're not going to simply go and make the same layup again. Maybe this time you try going faster, you aim higher off the backboards, put spin, try maybe using different hands, different footworks. All of it is a layup. And if you're talking about all of these variables, yes, it takes years to master a layup. But to know how you should go about mastering all of these things, playing is an important part. So that you know what you need to work on, where you are failing in game, and what you need to add to stop failing. She goes on to say, we learn nothing when we are playing. Yes, we can watch others, and that's when we learn. That's one more thing I absolutely disagree with. How else are you going to learn how to play defense? How to pass? How to read situations? You have to get into games. You can't learn to play defense by doing defensive shuffle like this. I've seen people in the park who barely use any skills other than, let's say, one normal dribble, one crossover, one jump shot, but they can dominate a game because they are so good at reading situations and playing for that. And even without a crazy amount of skill, without a crazy amount of athleticism, in fact, these guys are usually like what, 50, 60-year-old uncles who do this. But their game sense is on such a high level because they've played so much and they've seen how a lot of things work. I think this game sense is extremely important to develop if you want to actually use your skills to the best effect. So everyone should be getting into some kind of game, along with practicing, of course. So finally, she replies with, I don't think you quite understand what basics are, to be honest, but I get where you're coming from. Okay. So anyway, this was Shireen Limaye, the captain of the Indian women's basketball team. I think she quite knows the importance of playing games, and like she's not straight up saying you shouldn't play. And look, she agrees with this comment about adding variations to drills and small side games to reinforce fundamentals. At this point, I was like, I should make my own video about this because I think different people define basics and game differently, but then I completely forgot about it until I went to this by any means basketball camp in Pune and suddenly I remembered. So, what is basics? Basics for me is like how you practice moves, how you practice, say, a layup or a jump shot or a dribble or a crossover with no defense. And what is game? Anything with defense. So, if you have a layup drill with defense, would you count that as a game or as basics? I would count it as game. Maybe somebody else would count it as a basic. But yeah, the context is very important for this. We have to work on our basics, we have to practice so that we have skills. But what about game? Maybe a lot of people in India, when they say game, they think of tournaments. If you don't have your basics done properly, going to a tournament would be embarrassing. If you think you can handle that embarrassment, like, losing 21-5 or something, terrible score, then by all means, go for a tournament. If not, first work on your skills and do some of these other things before going to that tournament level. The next level of game would be like scrimmage. Playing with people in practices. Here they wouldn't usually allow beginners because it will spoil the level of game for everybody else. They'll have separate games for beginners, maybe. But yeah, this again is dependent on every single coach. There's a reason not to put them, of course, but there is also a reason to put them sometimes. This way, beginners can understand how much further they have to go and what they're lacking in terms of game sense. 29 days I did only basics. No game. On my last day, I was offered to play a game. When I started playing, I could barely play on the court due to unpolished basics and technique and a lack of game sense, I suppose, from never playing before. I realized why I was made to train only basics for 99% of my training. So, yes, a reality check like this is a good reason to have beginners play in scrimmages from time to time. Apart from this, you can come half an hour early to practice, play one on one with whoever you find there. Have some fun, try to apply the techniques you learnt in practice in a one on one at least, so that you'll have some basic idea of how to apply your skills in game. Or, of course, you can go to an open public court and play street ball with whoever's there. That is pretty much how I was playing basketball since pretty much forever. I think this level of playing game is very doable for like anybody and it should be something you do. And finally, training along with defense. Now, whether you count this as basic practice, whatever, or you count this as a game, I don't know what to really call it. It's a mix of both, but I think this is most necessary. This is how you can find your weaknesses and really work on them. There's this saying, tell me and I forget, show me and I remember, involve me and I understand. So you have to get involved and you have to play with live defense. That's how you're going to really understand how to execute a skill. And that's why I always like to say, practice, go out to the park, try it out, and cite some defenders today. Because much as trying it out, failing, and learning is very important. So if you like this kind of video where I just share my random thoughts, leave a like and do subscribe and turn on all notifications, much as.